Alright, now we're doing 8Q, Opposites Attract. This is by J. Barget, and 93% of the people like it. So perfect for Valentine's season, Timmy and Sarah think they are in love. But around where they live, they will only know once they pick a flower each. If one of the flowers has an even number of petals and the other has an odd number of petals, that means they're in love. So we're going to write a function that will take the number of petals of each flower and return true if they're in love and false if they aren't. Alright, so there's a few ways we could do this. We could do an if statement. We could say if, and then we'll say if flower 1, remainder operator 2, so if flower 1 is odd, and flower 2, remainder operator 2, so if they're both odd, return false. Alright, makes sense. So let's take this whole thing all the way to right here, and let's say else space paste. And now let's wrap each one of these in a set of parentheses, and in front of each one of them let's put a not operator. Alright, and now we've got this to where if they're even, return false, and if not, we'll just return. If it's neither of those cases, we'll return true. Let's see if this works. Test it out. And there we go, and attempt it. Awesome, look at that. And you know, that's cool, but that's a lot of typing really, especially in 2023 when we've got other ways to do business. So let's comment this out by saying /* control end // and then control home. And let's start by saying, or let's continue by saying, const love func equals, and instead of flower 1, flower 2, let's just say A and B. How about that? A little bit more concise. How about that? So what we could do is we could use one of these ternary operators, right? And the ternary, the conditional or ternary operator is one of the is the only JavaScript operator that takes 3 operands: a condition followed by a question mark, then an expression to execute if the condition is truthy followed by a colon, and finally the expression to execute if the condition is falsy. And this operator is frequently used as an alternative to an if-else statement. Alright, so with that info in mind, we can do pretty much the same thing we did down here. We can just take this, bring it on up here, up, well, we got to call it A, and call this B. Alright, and then we'll say, if that's true, we'll say false. If this is the case, we'll say false, I should say. If not, we can also take this one, put it right here, change this to A, change this to B, and also say, if that's the case, say false. And if neither of those are the case, we'll say true. Let's test it out. And look at that, just like that. And let's attempt it, make sure there's no tricks. Looks great, but you know what? Believe it or not, there's other ways to do this. We could use math logic, honestly. We could just comment that out, and we can come over here, and we can say something like, actually, let's think in our brain before we say. So if I have 1 plus 2, if I have 1 plus 3, what's that going to give me? 4, right? Even number. 1 plus 5, even number. 1 plus 7, even number. How about 2 plus 2? Even number. 2 plus 6, even number, right? So if the 2 added together equals something even, it's going to be false. So we could just say A plus B, and then wrap this up, oops, and say remainder operator 2. So if it's odd, that should work, right? Let's test it out. Nope, because it gives us 1 and not true. And this is one of the cases where 1 and true are not going to work together. So we've got to do something like this. Let's just say equals 1, right? And that'll work. Hopefully, let's see. What's going on, Codewars? All right, cool. And let's attempt it. Make sure there's no tricks. There's no tricks. It took a little while, but whatever. So yeah, that's a good way to do it. And you see it's much shorter than both of these ways. And there's another way that we can do, but according to Mozilla, we should rarely find ourselves using this method, but we're going to use the Boolean constructor, which is a constructor that can create Boolean objects or return primitive values of type Boolean. And the only reason I even looked or even think about doing this is because I just hate doing remainder operator 2 equals 1, because obviously it equals 1. This is just a special case where we can't use that feature. Boolean. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying. If not, maybe one day. So we can say Boolean in front of this thing and test it out. And look at that, it works too. Awesome. Attempt it. No tricks. All right, so that's the one I feel like leaving up there. You can leave up anything you want. It's your business. Attempt it one more time. Looks good, and submit it. All right, and Codewars must be very busy right now. All right, so as you see right here, that's one of the ways we could have done it. That's the way we did it pretty much, except for they used 3. And then after this, it gets a little racy, but let's go over to mine. Just me on this one. Best practice in my opinion. Very much like it, and we'll see you next time.